What happened when I faced my daughter's hidden truths? Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. The officer's knuckles hovered over my door like a metronome, slow and inevitable, and Ava stared past me as Chloe silently placed her phone on the hall table like an offering. I am Morgan, 45, a school nurse who knows the weight of small details, pill counts, timestamps, absences no one notices until the pattern has teeth. What I stood to lose felt suddenly measurable. My job, my custody agreement with Daniel, the fragile respect of students who waved to me from the bus. The officer cleared his throat and asked to speak to Ava about online contact, a phrase that lands like a diagnosis. My world shrank to the sound of my daughter's breathing and the whispering neighbor across the hall, eager to convert our panic into a rumor. "Is there an adult mentor named Colin in your life?" he asked. Ava blinked too slowly. Chloe held herself like a question mark. I remembered the PTA mom who loves Facebook Lives, and the local paper's intern who messages teachers for community stories. I'd spent years keeping charts tidy and teenagers safe by noticing tiny deviations. Now the deviation was in my own apartment, wearing my child's face. I told the officer we would cooperate fully. He nodded, said we weren't under arrest, said for now, and handed me a card with a badge number and a time for a conversation. My hands shook, not with fear exactly, but with the knowledge that every choice from this moment would be evidence. Then Ava looked at Chloe and said, "Tell them everything, now." After the divorce, our house became a library of rituals. Saturday pancakes, even when the batter went lumpy. A chart on the fridge for meds and appointments. A thrifted mug with a chip shaped like Idaho that Chloe declared lucky. My job taught me to see through noise. Kids who fake stomachaches to escape a test. Kids who come for cough drops when what they really need is 10 calm minutes. Ava had always been my list maker, starer of ceilings, slayer of assignments. "I'm fine," she'd say, which often meant hold me accountable gently. Chloe was more weather than forecast. Colorful, surprising, loyal to a fault. A week ago, Ava and I argued about a late-night study session. "You don't trust me," she said, voice flat. "You just want me to be your good report card." I murmured something about safety and screens and the cruel clockwork of senior year, but the fight left a bruise. Daniel texted, "Don't escalate," from his quiet condo across town. He hates drama the way some people hate cilantro, like it's a personal insult. Ms. Patel, the counselor, once told me, "You catch what others miss because you look for patterns." Lately, the pattern was a thin buzz under every sentence, a hum no one else heard. I told myself the girls were resilient. I told myself the argument would pass. I told myself the internet was a tool like any other, controllable with boundaries. The problem with mantras is how quickly they become alibis. That hum grew louder the night I noticed the first withdrawal. The bank alert said $180 cash withdrawal, after hours, downtown ATM, 10:18 p.m. The alert came while I was setting out tomorrow's pill packs. Probably Daniel grabbing cash, I thought, until the memo line showed my card ending in 2234. Mine, not his. I checked my wallet. Card present. I checked the girls' faces through their bedroom doors, both blue-lit and still. Weird, I told the cat, who had no opinions. The next morning, Chloe said art club ran late, but the bus camera timestamps, publicly searchable, if you know where to look, showed her stop at 4:12, same as always. Ava's phone pinged at 1:37 a.m. from a username I didn't recognize at Refine Ava. I asked her at breakfast. "It's study tips," she said, not quite lying, not quite telling the truth. I told myself high achievers chase structure and that strangers sell it like bottled air. At school, a parent handed me a prepaid visa to reimburse field trip snacks Ava covered, even though Ava never mentioned it. That card, too, hummed. The nurse's cabinet log had one irregular entry, 2 missing on Dancitron tablets, signed out with my initials and handwriting that was almost mine. Almost. It happens, the principal would say. Clerical noise. Noise, I've learned, can camouflage a scream. That night, I found a second SIM card hidden under Ava's desk tape. Silverback, edge scuffed. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I documented. Photos. Times. My notes sounded like a stranger had borrowed my voice. Objective, clipped, careful to protect the girls even from my own panic. Patterns solidified not as answers, but as questions. Why the cash? Whose initials? Who is Refine? The next day, a stranger smiled at Ava like he already knew our names. It was the winter showcase, glossy banners and careful lighting. A table of brochures offered leadership acceleration, college readiness intensives, and smiling testimonials that looked like stock photos wearing stress. He introduced himself as Colin, voice low, handshake too practiced. I've heard great things about you, Ava, he said. Your debate coach is impressed. Ava flushed, pleased, wary, flattered. I hovered, the inconvenient parent who asks about background checks. We partner with families, he said, blinking at me as if I were a spreadsheet error. He gave Ava a card embossed with a triangle logo and the word Refine. That night, after homework, a muted notification slid across Ava's lock screen. Group session link. Advanced cohort. Don't share. Her thumb snapped the phone away. It's positive, she said, brittle sweet. I texted Daniel. Minter approached her. He replied, People Network. Don't catastrophize. Catastrophes, in my experience, dislike being scheduled. At midnight, my apartment filled with the sound of a voicemail I wasn't meant to hear. Remember, investment equals commitment, Colin said. We don't want quitters. The next morning, Chloe protected her backpack like it contained a heart. Just art stuff, she mumbled. Ms. Patel met my eyes in the hallway and touched my arm. Document, don't react, she whispered. Ask questions that can tolerate the answer. I started a folder labeled House, Girls, Timeline, a name innocuous enough to survive discovery. I told myself good parents trust, better parents verify, and terrible parents snoop. The line between verify and snoop thinned like ice. Then a hidden group chat username flashed on Ava's screen, @Minter Debt Collector. Debt collector? I asked lightly, pretending I hadn't seen it, pretending my ribs weren't a drum. Inside joke, Ava said, the way teenagers say relax while holding a lit match. I chose to confront gently. If someone is asking for money, we decide together, I said. I'm not a child, she answered, a statement true and false in equal measure. Chloe, usually chaos in sneakers, moved carefully around us, backpack glued to her shoulders like a second spine. Take it off at dinner, I said. Later, she replied, later meaning never. MS. Patel emailed all parents a webinar recording on predatory programs wrapped in mentorship language. The slide with pay to belong equals control burned into me. I printed it and slid it under my folder. That afternoon, the nurse's cabinet log nagged again. I compared signatures. Mine curved left on M, the log's curved right. Tiny, damning. I counted blister packs twice. 2 anti-nausea tablets missing would barely register, unless someone needed leverage. I copied the log page quietly. At home, I asked Chloe to help with laundry, an excuse to brush the backpack. She tucked it behind her with a laugh that was more like a flinch. You're acting weird, she said. You're acting careful, I said back soft. She looked away. That night, I found a crumpled prepaid Visa receipt in the trash. $360 load, stored 3 blocks from the coffee shop where the PDA moms gossip. The timestamp matched the cash withdrawal night. Evidence does not accuse, people do. I decided to gather, not accuse, yet. I set alarms to check bus cameras and my own hallway's motion light history. Then Chloe whispered on the phone. I got them. Just stop texting me during dinner. The next day, the absence list swelled. Flu, migraines, family reasons. Pressure finds weak spots and calls them normal. In my office, I sorted inhalers and tried not to sort my children. A parent dropped a rumor like a coin into a jar. Have you heard about that new program? My niece's friend lost a lot of money. Ms. Patel sent me a link to a state warning about educational investment circles. Harmless words for a funnel aimed at anxious teenagers. At lunch, I checked my mailbox. Inside was an unmarked envelope with 2 photocopied money orders and a voicemail transcription. $500 by Friday, or we reevaluate her cohort status. The number was blocked, but the punctuation, those 2 formal quotation marks, screamed Colin. I texted Daniel screenshots. He called. You're overreacting, he said. Let her learn boundaries. Boundaries with predators? I asked. Words like predator make you feel in control, he said. They aren't always accurate. After school, I watched Chloe through the art room window. She gave her backpack to a girl with bitten nails, then took it back like a relay baton. I followed from a distance to the bus stop, recorded nothing but kept every detail. The scuffed blue bench, the gum under the timetable, the way Chloe's breath clouded into a secret. At home, I found a taped-over SIM again, second one, in Ava's sock drawer. I opened my folder and added a heading: devices, payments, pills, backpack, witnesses. I promised myself I would not be surprised by the truth, only prepared. Then I noticed 2 ondansetron tablets in a mint tin inside Chloe's backpack. I waited until she showered, then opened the tin with the guilt of a locksmith. 2 tablets, chalky, exact brand from my cabinet. A folded note underneath read, "For Hannah only, no receipts." My job made me both responsible and suspect. Every nurse knows the math of custody. I photographed the pills, replaced the note, closed the tin. I wanted to ask Chloe everything, but my questions felt like traps, and I promised myself to be a net instead. That evening, Ava said she had an advanced check-in at the library. "I'll go with you," I replied. "That's embarrassing," she snapped. "I'm not 6. We compromised on sitting at separate tables. Across from me, a boy practiced violin, fingering silently. Ava slipped to the study rooms. At 6:40, I watched a man in a navy coat with the triangle logo on a keychain tap on her door and enter. Policy says rooms are for teens only. Policy is a door someone leaves unlocked. I texted MS. "Patel, seen him?" She replied, "Keep eyes. I'll call security if needed." The man left at 7:05. Ava came out smiling like someone had loaned her confidence. "Productive?" I asked. "You wouldn't understand," she said, not unkindly. Later, at home, a message pinged her second SIM, which I had slipped, God forgive me, into airplane mode and tucked back. Remember, bigger gains require bolder investments. Gains. Bold. Investments. The vocabulary of casinos wearing a graduation cap. I printed a state AG press release on coaching circles. Patterns were no longer suggestions. They were arrows. Then the library emailed me a suspicious activity notice for our joint account usage. The email said a staffer reported an adult entering a teen study room without booking, flagged because my account, registered as a parent chaperone, was tied to the time slot. Evidence can frame innocence as guilt if you don't guard the narrative. I forwarded the warning to myself, MS. Patel, and, after a minute, Daniel. He called immediately. "Morgan, you are spiraling," he said. "You're putting your job at risk over a hunch." "It's not a hunch," I said, listing dates, sums, the mentor's phrases. "You're connecting unrelated dots," he insisted. "Let her handle her choices." "She's 17, I said. "He's 40-something. Silence on the line. Finally, he muttered, "Don't drag me into drama," and hung up. I set up a recorder app, not to trap my children, but to catch myself if fear distorted memory. Chloe hovered in the kitchen, backpack on, hair damp. "Who's Hannah?" I asked. Her eyes flicked right, a tell I'd cataloged since preschool. "She's a friend," she said. "A good one." "Why does she need medicine?" "Nausea," she said, too fast. "From what?" "From stress," she replied, then paused. "From someone threatening her." The room tilted. "Threatening with what?" "Photos," Chloe whispered. "She did something stupid once, and now they want money or pills." My hand found the counter. "Who's that?" Chloe's mouth trembled. "A junior," she said. "And a man who tells Ava she's special." The arrowhead finally had a shaft, and it was pointing at my front door. Then my phone lit up with a blocked caller saying, "Bring the cash to the coffee shop. No police." I didn't sleep. I arranged the facts on paper like a triage board. Ava, Minter, prepaid cards, second SIM, library room. Chloe, pills, Hannah, blackmail. The block call at 10:14 p.m. Said the coffee shop at 9th and Alder, noon tomorrow, and no police. I am a school nurse, not a spy, but I understand chain of custody and the way adrenaline fakes wisdom. I called Ms. Patel at 7:02 a.m. and told her everything crisply, the way I present medical updates, dates, amounts, quotes. She listened without filling silence. "We involve an officer we trust," she said at last. "Detective Reyes handles juvenile digital coercion. He won't storm in." Daniel answered my text 20 minutes later with a reluctant, "Fine. I'll be there, but I'm not making a scene." I wrote a plan on a sticky note. Screenshots printed. Audio recorder ready. Sit near the window. Keep eyes on exits. Do not say yes to anything. I told Ava I wanted coffee together before her study group. You checking up on me? She asked. I'm checking in, I said, and she softened enough to agree. Chloe hovered in the doorway with her backpack and a look that asked for absolution and permission in the same breath. Bring the tin, I said quietly. We're ending this right. At 11:52, the three of us walked into steam and cinnamon air. The Minter logo flashed, triangle keychain, on a table already occupied by a man with a banker's smile and a high-dollar haircut. Ava, he said warmly. Morgan. He looked at Chloe like a math problem. I placed a neat folder on the table. He placed a neat thread in his eyes. The bell over the door chimed again. Daniel stepped in and, behind him, a woman I didn't know took a seat near the pastry case and didn't order anything. I hoped she was the detective. My hand steadied on the folder. I had rehearsed calm. I hadn't rehearsed the next sentence he said to my daughter. You're about to sabotage your own future, he told Ava softly, leaning forward so the line fed straight into her ear. Colleges love initiative. They hate indecision. Daniel bristled. We're here to clarify terms, he said, slipping into his conference call voice. I let him draw the first fire. The man, Colin, turned to me. You signed up for chaperone access at the library, he said. We assumed you understood partnerships. My stomach went cold. He'd taken an administrative warning and repurposed it as consent. I slid a printed screenshot across. $500 by Friday, or we reevaluate her cohort status. Motivational pledge language, he shrugged. Ava's fingers trembled on her cup. Chloe hugged her backpack. I nodded toward the woman by the pastry case. Detective Reyes, I said, guessing and gambling. The woman met my eyes and gave the subtlest nod, then looked back at her phone. We're just having coffee, Colin said quickly. Just guidance, I replied. Just receipts. I opened the folder. Prepaid load slips, timestamps circled, my notes on the library door codes, the cabinet log forgery with my initials mirrored wrong, the mint tin with pills. Those aren't for Ava, Chloe blurted, voice shaking. They're for Hannah, because someone said they'd leak pictures if she didn't deliver. The room snapped in on that one sentence. Colin spread his hands. We don't condone anything illegal, he said, sliding blame toward a faceless junior. But your handler texted from this number, I said, tapping the printout, and used phrases from your brochure. He smiled, all cheekbones and patience. Watch your defamation. Voices rose behind me. A barista turned the music up a notch. Ms. Patel slipped in and stood by the door. We'd like everything on the record, she said calmly. Colin's smile thinned. Then he reached for his coat pocket with a speed that made my chair scrape. He didn't pull a weapon. He pulled out a thin card reader, the kind that fits into a phone, sleek and ordinary as a spoon. Investments can be paid here, he said quickly, like he'd practiced the line. Small amounts prevent big disappointments. Daniel swore under his breath. I kept my voice even. Put that away. The bell chimed again. A teenage boy I recognized from debate walked in, saw Colin, and pivoted toward us, relief and dread written all over his shoulders. He said I needed to show commitment today, the boy whispered. Reyes moved then, calmly, unmistakably, flashing a badge just long enough for the barista to see. We're going to have a conversation, she told Colin, voice not loud, but shaped to carry. Phones on the table, please. He leaned back like this was a misunderstanding he enjoyed fixing. Am I under arrest? He asked. No, Reyes said. You're under observation. I felt Ava's hand seeking mine under the table. Chloe slid the mint tin across like a confession. For Hannah, she said, because someone is using a finsta to threaten her. Reyes nodded at me. I opened my notes and read the sequence of texts with dates and amounts. Colin's face flickered when I quoted the exact 1:37 a.m. message about Boulder investments. Plenty of coaches use templates, he said. Reyes smiled. Plenty of predators, too. She asked the boy to sit with Ms. Patel. Then she turned to Chloe, who said to bring medicine. Chloe swallowed. A junior. Kellen said the man would make the photos go away if we brought them. Reyes jotted the name, eyes narrowing. And where were you told to drop pills or cash? Locker Bay 3, Chloe whispered. Reyes tapped a text. Then we'll ask Kellen to meet us there. Colin's jaw clicked once, like a car door locking itself. Ava exhaled in a small, breaking sound. Then Daniel's phone lit up with a notification that made my heart stop. The notification read, "Tuition deposit received. Refine Elite. Non-refundable." My ex stared, baffled. "I didn't authorize this." Ava's mouth opened and closed. "It was a trial," she whispered. "He said deadlines were fake." Reyes took Daniel's phone gently, photographed the screen, and asked the barista for the Wi-Fi name. "We're seizing nothing," she said, "just documenting voluntary displays." She invited Colin to explain the pipeline, cohorts, elite tiers, performance pledges. He produced a laminated flowchart like a restaurant menu. In the corner, a microprint clause about advancement conditional upon community support, which meant money. "Where do the funds go before refunds that never arrive?" Reyes asked. Colin gave a lawyerly shrug. "Operations." I rotated a bank statement I'd pulled from my email backup. 3 transfers to Refined Strategies LLC, then out to a processor in Nevada, then peeled into cash at our town's ATM at 10:18 p.m., the exact time my card was hit. "Explain this," I said. He smiled again, thinner now. "Parents often get confused." Ava whispered, "I used your card once, Mom. I was going to pay it back." Each word landed with a little bruise. "How did you get the number?" I asked. "It auto-filled on the family laptop," she said, tears starting, and I believed her. Shame is not the same as malice, but payments don't care. Reyes stood. "We'll walk to Locker Bay 3, she said. "Mr. Partnership can accompany us, since he condones nothing illegal." Colin stood, smoothing his sleeves. Ms. Patel squeezed my elbow. "You prepared well," she murmured. We stepped into gray daylight, the kind that makes everything look honest. In the corridor by the lockers, a lanky junior waited, hoodie up, eyes darting. "Kellen?" Reyes asked. He nodded once and glanced at Colin, terrified. "He told me to," Kellen said. Then a locker door down the row swung open from the inside. A girl climbed out of the locker bay's lower shelf, small and furious, hair static with dust. "You're late," she hissed at Kellen, then froze at the sight of badges and adults. "Hannah," Chloe whispered, and the girl flinched but didn't deny it. Reyes had seen everything, and nothing surprises truly landed anymore. She cupped the air with one palm. "You're safe to speak." Hannah shook her head, eyes pinned to Colin as if he were a hypnotist she'd paid to forget her own name. "He said I owed," she whispered, "for messing up once. He said I'd ruin Ava's chances if I didn't help." Colin's hands hovered just above innocence. "I run programs," he said mildly. "I don't run children." Reyes said the gentlest, terrifying thing I've ever heard. "You're free to continue this conversation with me or with an assistant district attorney." The hallway changed temperature. Kellen's shoulders collapsed. "I gave the photos to him," he muttered, pointing, "because he promised to delete the ones of me too." Shame passed between the kids like a contraband parcel. Ava made a sound like a held-back sob. I looked at my daughters, my careful list maker and my loyal Storm, and chose the only sentence that could hold both love and law. "We're done covering," I said. Reyes nodded, radioed a unit with calm vowels, and asked the assistant principal for a quiet office. Colin tried one last pivot. "This will embarrass your family," he murmured. "People talk." I smiled without humor. "We're past embarrassment," I said. "We're at accountability." As they walked him down the hall, whispers rose like a tide, and somewhere a phone camera clicked. I asked Hannah if she had eaten. She shook her head no, so I handed her a granola bar from my coat and watched her chew like each bite needed permission. Kellen stared at his hands as if the answers might be written there. Ava wiped her face with her sleeve and whispered that she wanted to help make statements, not hide behind mine. I believed her. Belief isn't absolution, just a starting line. Then my work phone rang with the principal's number, and I knew what was coming next. "We've had a complaint," the principal said carefully, voice straining to sound neutral. "About you accessing library rooms and recording." The timing was surgical. I explained, briefly, and she reminded me that even justified vigilance can look like misconduct from a distance. "There will be a review," she said, and my stomach dipped. Ms. Patel touched my shoulder. "This will hold," she murmured. "You documented cleanly." Reyes had Colin seated in a small conference room, a thin cord charging his phone while she requested a consented data transfer. "You're not under arrest," she repeated. "But the moment you lie, the door closes." He talked. They always talk, to sell themselves one last time. He admitted to pledges and fast tracks, denied the word extortion, blamed overzealous juniors, and performed concern for vulnerable families. The processor trail to Nevada wasn't his, he claimed. He was just a regional. Reyes listened with professional boredom. Kellen, in a separate chair, signed a statement. Hannah, after 3 glasses of water, said, "He told me to ask for pills because cash is tracked." My throat ached. Ava took my hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I thought I had to be the kind of daughter colleges want." "I want a daughter who breathes," I said. Daniel stood awkwardly by the door, demolished by the shape of a problem he couldn't spreadsheet. The review notice hit my inbox before we left the building. I forwarded it to myself, to Ms. Patel, to Reyes. "You did right," Reyes said. "Right is noisy before it gets quiet." That night, I wrote device rules in plain language, and we signed them. The review email used words like procedure and optics, the kinds that bruise without leaving marks. I wrote a timeline in plain language and asked Ms. Patel to countercheck it for gaps. Daniel, for once, didn't retreat. He asked what the policy actually required and volunteered to sit with the girls while I typed my report. The smallness of that help felt suddenly enormous. I saved every draft twice and printed 1 copy for a folder at home labeled Simply Process. Then a local blogger emailed. "Care to comment on today's scandal?" The blogger's post faded as quickly as it came, replaced by weather warnings and a lost dog photo. We kept feeding each other instead. On Sundays, we cooked simple and loud. Garlic snapping in the pan, Chloe laughing when Daniel misread a recipe, Ava setting the table the way she used to. I wrote what worked: a shared calendar, a clear budget for school fees, a short list of trusted adults. We added an agreement the girls helped write, plain language, about phones, money, and how to say, "I'm in over my head." Ms. Patel read it, nodded, and said, "This is what trust looks like when it grows back." Hannah's parents came over. We spoke gently and stayed in the room. Reyes called to explain the charges without drama words, and when she hung up, I could breathe again. Kellen's apology arrived in handwriting that crowded the page. The district finished my review with a sentence I kept on my desk: "Actions exceeded protocol in service of student safety." It was an absolution, but it let me work without flinching. I returned spare key cards, fixed my cabinet logs, and taught my hands to stop searching every quiet corner for danger. One afternoon, Ava and I walked past the coffee shop. The triangle logo was gone. A corkboard of babysitting ads covered the scar. "I thought I ruined everything," she said. "You gave me the chance to do the bravest thing I know," I said. "You told the truth." Chloe joined us, paint on her fingers, the backpack finally light, and we bought 3 hot chocolates because it was cold and we were together. At home, we painted 3 mugs: green for hope, blue for honesty, yellow for courage, and inked the date inside each rim. The day we retired secrecy from our house. That night, we taped the device rules to the fridge and slid the chipped Idaho mug to the back of the cupboard. I photographed the girls at the table, hair messy, shoulders touching, faces unguarded, and saved it in a folder called Evidence of Us. Daniel texted the week's pickups and one simple line: "Thank you for not giving up on any of us." I stood in the doorway while Ava finished homework and Chloe sketched steam rising from her cup, both of them whole in a way that felt earned. And I finally let our quiet mean we were safe.